Shalom family, it's the Blue Magician, and today we're here with more magic, and we're talking about word usage, okay? Because word usage is important on how we perceive ourselves, perceive others in the world around us, right? It's the very difference of how we understand things, because it's a programming. It's not just communication. Yes, we use it to commune with others, to communicate, right? But it also is part of our understanding and the lens that we see the world through, okay? And how we've been taught to use language, right, especially the English language, has been very limiting. I do want to say that more Eastern languages and older languages like Hebrew, Sanskrit, um, Chinese, like Mandarin, Japanese, their languages, it's more uh, rooted and they have a different way of speaking. They don't use the same rules, okay? So certain words, they even hold numerical values, number value. They one word can describe like three words in the English language, and they don't separate certain things, right? Like gender and stuff like that. Like there's a lot when it comes down to their languages, and I just enjoy it more because it's almost like you're spiritually evolving whilst you're learning and using their language system, okay? With the English language and certain other languages like Latin and anything close in that family group, I feel like it can be limiting only because of the rules that they have there. Okay, and one thing I want to recommend is really looking into word origins. That's something that I do. With a word that I don't really understand, I look into the origin of the word to see if I'm even using it properly. Not the definition. The definition is going to give you a basic understanding, but it's not going to tell you the root of the word that you're using and what it was once used for in the past, its true meaning. Okay? Because words hold value, and sometimes we're seeing certain things and don't even really understand how it's affecting us, okay? And so it's important to use your words wisely, okay? Because a lot of folks, they make the mistake of using words to give them purpose, right? That's why we have this whole thing of religion. We're searching around looking because our language system is so confusing. We separate ourselves, we compartmentalize everything, and it's very confusing, right? You have God, you have this, and it compartmentalizes everything and just throws it in a whole chaotic mix, okay? And so when it's time to like when you're trying to connect back with that God energy, it's difficult because you already feel separate from it, right? And I think, to be honest, I prefer sometimes just understanding certain things, getting it on a deeper level, on a more intuitive level beyond words. I'm talking symbols and different feelings, things like that, than always using language. I feel like that's how our ancestors communicated in the past. I may touch on that a little bit later in the video. Don't want to make this one too long. Some of you already know that though. But yeah, like we kind of keep ourselves stuck in certain patterns when we speak, right? Like I hear it all the time. Some people will say, I'm depressed. I'm a depressed person. Or I'm a mean person. Or I'm a loser. Anything like that. For one, a verb cannot, a noun cannot be a verb. Okay? That's a rule in the English language. A noun cannot be a verb. A person cannot be a state of being, okay? Because we're always shedding through so many states of being. So you cannot just, your character, your essence, the um, structure of you that's like under your mask, under your ego, under what you identify yourself as, is not depressed. It goes through depressed moments. You have a low moment, You feel like you took a loss, but you're not a loser. You understand? So we have to be careful with how we use our words because our mind associates with that. So you start believing those things. And as you start believing those things, you don't even know that you're just using the English language incorrectly, right? Because there's no common sense there, right? Like no deeper understanding. And I think we not taught all these things. We not taught all these things, but I swear I feel like there was much more intention in it when it was created than how we're using it now. Because when I think of how certain things play out today, right? I can just see how we're not using our magnifying glass. We're not using our intuition, right? Like, say for instance, when you watch TV, you're watching a channel, like someone's channeling to you, okay? When you're watching a movie, you want to know who's in the cast, what actors are casting spells on people, acting out what you would call rituals, doing fake killings, right? Acting like rich people, all those things that our ancestors always did in rituals, right? From sacrifice, all these things, right? Performing it, but not always in an actual way, not always really performing killings and things like that, but just the whole acting out of it, right? And getting into that spirit, channeling the energies. You understand? So when you see a lot of the stuff that's just flowing around in our collective is being recycled and people don't even understand the deeper meaning behind these things, they think it's just conspiracy. They think it's you thinking too deep, but it's not you thinking too deep. It's a lack of understanding of things that we use on an everyday basis. And we need that because you can have the people that are creating the devices and the machines and the technology that we use, but if we don't have an understanding, at least a basic understanding, at least a basic understanding of the foundation of these things, what they inquire, how friendly are they with us, right? What is the intention? What is longevity with it? What are the rules behind it? How does it operate? If we don't understand these things, then we're basically playing with fire, right? That's like driving a car. You don't even know how to drive it. You don't know how it operates, right? You're playing with fire right there. And that's the very difference between like people moving on in life with like 40, 50, 60 years of trauma, unfortunately, because they don't know this whole time how people been speaking to them, how they've been speaking to themselves, that they've been misunderstanding, okay? Misunderstanding. And then intuitively inside, you will feel opposite and against that, but folks don't really know how to like break it down like I'm breaking it down now. But you always have to trust your intuition before anything, because before language, again, that's how our ancestors used to communicate. I see that they came up with a name for what the intuitives and the spiritual people call the third eye, right? They call it synesthesia. Synesthesia. It's the opposite of anesthesia, which means no feeling, right? It's synesthesia is a conjunction of all your feelings. So for some people, when they're looking at numbers, they see colors, right? It'll just pop up in their head. When they hear certain words, tastes will come into their mouths, right? Or when they're playing certain, if they play in musical notes, certain numbers or feelings will appear to them because all of their senses are working in conjunction, right? And they say it's more common in creative people, and they say we all have this quote unquote disorder or what may it be when we're born, right? When we're babies and we're growing up, because we're already naturally creative. And again, that's how our ancestors was communicating with each other, because they would use more feelings in like telepathy and things like that to communicate before they were using language. Okay, or at least that's my belief, and that is why they're able to we can come up with a lot more interesting creations, right? That's helpful in like lots of different fields of studies, right? Doctors who work on patients, they can kind of feel the pain. They feel the pain of the patient while they're working on the patient. You understand? Sometimes I feel that. Like if I'm seeing someone they hurt, I can feel exactly the location where like the pain is at. Things like that, like all of our senses work in conjunct, but when we put the English language, we try to separate those things. The colors, the everything, we separate those things. So now the senses aren't working in conjunct, but they're working individually, and that is very limiting. But again, the mystics and the spiritualists always call this the third eye, right? You're having a casual conversation with someone, and then symbols pop up in your head, numbers pop up in your head, different, all these different things, feelings. You get feelings, you see things, visions, all these kinds of stuff. It's always been a thing, but now we're kind of just bridging science and spirituality. You understand? So I think we need to change a lot of things in our schooling systems and the way that we once understood things, and update them, kind of get back more into putting substance back into things, because now we just like everything is for the name of it, right? We just doing things just to do. We don't even know why we doing things. I feel like this is the generation of the most stimulation. We just want to stimulate ourselves, continue to, I'm not even gonna put that energy on it. I'm just gonna say we have a lot to learn, okay? A lot of growing to do. And that's where I'll leave it at, okay? But that'll be the end of my video. I just wanted to get that point across. Ask you guys to continue to look more into the words that you're using, okay? Start looking up words and their origin. I always do that. You can search word etymology or just word origin of a name, right? We name our children and don't even know what their names mean. All of these things are important, okay? So that is what I have for you guys today, and I'll see you guys next week for my next Saturday video. Peace.